This Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service, many will remember that Detroit was the rehearsal for King's I Have a Dream speech. Perhaps less known about two visits Dr. King made to Michigan State University in the 1960s. Paula Tutman spoke to two people who remember his message very well about the social justice climate then and now.
At Michigan State University, it was literally Martin Luther King Jr. Day, February 11th, 1965, when King made a visit to campus. This recording, courtesy of the university's archives department.
The student generation of today is not an apathetic generation.
Dr. King had been brought to the university by then faculty member Robert Greene to address some 4,000 students. And in the audience, a 20-something-year-old sophomore athlete named Gene Washington.
So Dr. King's visit meant a lot to me.
This was at a time when the nation was still gripped by racism and segregation.
All of the years I spent at Michigan State University, in an integrated university, Texas, my hometown and area, was completely segregated.
Even though I was born in Detroit, there was racism in Detroit that reflected racism in the South.
If we drank out of the wrong water fountain, the white population, the white citizens made it a point to partner with the police to make sure that we observe the laws.
Dr. King spoke passionately about achieving a world brotherhood perspective.
Wherever men are assembled, the cry is always the same: we want to be free. And so the wind of change is blowing in our nation. The wind of change is blowing all over the world. It is sweeping away an old and unjust order.
And both Dr. Robert Greene, now 87, and Gene Washington, now 76, some 55 years later, believe that much of what King spoke about that day at MSU in that speech, those things are still being fought for today.
He taught us not to be afraid, not to be fearful, fight in a nonviolent way the segregationist practices of America. The fight for freedom must go on and on and on. Don't let the bullies with the rifles and the shotguns intimidate you.
You know, I had no idea that this speech had even taken place or even existed. Thanks to attorney Greg Reed for giving me the alert for this, Devin. I don't know about you, but you can imagine for the people who are sitting there listening to this speech on brotherhood and ending segregation and coming together, how painful today's events must be for them.
That's so true, Paul. And I'm also really mindful of how lucky we are that we still have a lot of people around who had direct connections, who knew Dr. King, who worked with him, who organized. You know, we lose that institutional memory at too quick of a pace, don't we?
Yeah, that is a fantastic point, because these are things that we have to be reminded of if we weren't there to remember.
Yeah, so right. All right, Paula. That was great.